chosen one. Why did you wake up at 3:47 a.m. this morning? Why has your chest felt heavy since yesterday, like something's pressing down on your lungs? Why, after all these years of praying, believing, hoping, does today feel different? Stop. Don't scroll. Don't move. Because if your eyes found this message on November 26, something in the heavens has already shifted over your life. I'm not talking about coincidence. I'm talking about divine interception. The algorithm didn't bring you here. Heaven did. And what I'm about to tell you in the next 60 seconds will either confirm what your spirit has been screaming, or you'll dismiss it and miss the sign that's been prepared specifically for you. Listen to me carefully. November 26 isn't just another Tuesday spinning on the calendar. It's a hinge, a threshold, a moment when the veil between the natural and supernatural becomes so thin that God can whisper secrets to those who are desperate enough to listen. And you're here because you've been marked to receive something the comfortable will never see. Some of you think God's done with you. You're 73, 81, 68 years old, and you've convinced yourself that your assignment expired with your youth. You watch your grown children drift further away. You sit in rooms that used to echo with laughter and now only echo with silence. You look in the mirror and see irrelevance staring back. But what if I told you that every single moment of feeling forgotten was actually preparation? What if the loneliness wasn't abandonment, it was positioning? What if heaven has been holding you in the shadows until this exact moment when the world became desperate enough for what only you can carry? You feel it right now, don't you? That flutter in your chest, that knowing you can't explain, that sense that something monumental is stirring beneath the surface of your ordinary day. That's not your imagination, beloved. That's confirmation. That's the divine echo calling you by name. November 26 carries a sign so subtle that most people will miss it completely. They'll scroll past this message. They'll go about their Tuesday routines, coffee, pills, TV, sleep, never knowing they stood at the edge of breakthrough and walked away. But you're not most people. You never have been. Before we go deeper, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just giving. You're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and let the Holy Spirit lead your heart. If you already feel something in your chest, if your spirit is trembling with recognition right now, type "I feel it" in the comments. Don't think, just respond. Because what happens next will require you to trust what you sense more than what you see. The sign is here. The question is, are you awake enough to recognize it? Why does your coffee taste different this morning? Why did you pause at that photograph on your dresser, the one you've walked past 1,000 times, and suddenly feel your throat tighten? Why, after months of spiritual numbness, did you wake up today with tears on your pillow and no memory of crying? Listen to me, beloved. These aren't random occurrences. These are symptoms, miracle symptoms. You see, the world has trained you to expect miracles to arrive like fireworks, loud, obvious, impossible to miss. But that's not how heaven operates. 1 Kings 19:12 tells us that when Elijah stood on the mountain waiting for God, there was a mighty wind that tore the mountains apart, then an earthquake that shook the ground, then fire that consumed everything in its path. But God wasn't in any of those. The Lord came in a still, small voice. A whisper, a breath, something so subtle that if you weren't paying attention, you'd miss it completely. And right now, on this November 26, God is whispering. The question is, have your ears been trained to hear it? Here's what nobody tells you about divine timing. Before a miracle manifests in your physical reality, heaven begins rearranging the furniture of your life. Doors you thought would stay open suddenly close. People you thought would stay suddenly leave. Plans you thought were solid suddenly crumble. And you stand there, confused, thinking God has abandoned you. But what if those disruptions weren't rejections? What if they were divine interruptions designed to position you for what's coming next? You know why your body feels slower these days? It's not just age, dear one. Your spirit is outpacing your flesh. While your knees complain about the stairs, your soul is climbing Jacob's ladder. While your hands shake with tremors the doctors can't explain, your spiritual hands are steadier than they've ever been, ready to receive what heaven is about to release. Think about Anna the prophetess. Luke 2:36 tells us she was 84 years old when baby Jesus was brought to the temple. 84. She'd been widowed after only 7 years of marriage and spent the next 77 years praying, fasting, serving in the temple. Most people probably looked at her and saw a sad old woman who'd wasted her life. But when that infant Messiah walked through those temple doors, she was the first to recognize him. Not the priests, not the scholars, not the young, energetic believers. The 84-year-old widow whose eyes had been trained by decades of watching, waiting, believing. Your age isn't your disqualification, it's your advantage. You've watched long enough to recognize what others will miss. But here's what's happening right now that most people won't understand. November 26 sits in what I call an alignment window. It's that space between the noise of Thanksgiving and the chaos of Christmas. The world is catching its breath, distracted by leftovers and shopping lists. But in that distraction, the spiritual atmosphere becomes crystal clear. Heaven can move without interference. God can speak without competition. And you, chosen one, you're positioned to receive. Pay attention to what you're feeling today. You might feel an unexplainable calm washing over you like warm water, even though nothing in your circumstances has changed. Or you might feel unsettled, restless, like something's about to happen but you can't put your finger on what. Or you might find yourself suddenly reflective, thinking about people you haven't thought about in years, remembering moments that seemed insignificant at the time but now feel loaded with meaning. These aren't mood swings. These are spiritual sensors picking up frequencies from another realm. Daniel understood this. In Daniel 10, an angel appeared to him and said, "From the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them." But it took 21 days for the angel to break through. 21 days of warfare in the heavens, while Daniel sat on earth wondering if God was listening. What if your prayers haven't been ignored? What if they've been breaking through resistance you can't see? What if November 26 is the day the angel finally arrives? You're going to notice one sign today. Just one. It might be small, a phone call from someone you've been praying for, a check in the mail you weren't expecting, a pain in your body that suddenly eases, a memory that brings unexpected peace, a stranger who says exactly what you needed to hear. It won't be dramatic, it won't make the evening news, but it will be undeniable confirmation that heaven heard you, saw you, and is moving on your behalf. Your miracle isn't coming someday. It's already in motion. You're feeling the tremors before the earthquake. You're sensing the shift before the breakthrough. If you felt the air around you change this week, if something in your spirit knows this message is for you, type "I'm listening" in the comments right now. Because what I'm about to reveal next will show you exactly how to recognize the sign heaven is sending. You know what's been haunting you this past week, don't you? That appointment that got cancelled at the last minute. That phone call you tried to make 3 times, but somehow the line just wouldn't connect. That person you've known for years who suddenly went cold, stopped responding, vanished like smoke. And you've been sitting there wondering, God, what did I do wrong? Why are you blocking me? Why does it feel like every door I approach slams shut before I can even knock? Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. What if I told you that every single interruption you've experienced in the last 7 days wasn't the enemy's attack? What if the heaviness you felt, the exhaustion that made you cancel plans, the strange sense that you shouldn't go somewhere, even though you couldn't explain why? What if all of that was God's hand, literally pulling you back from the edge of a cliff you couldn't see? Most people think delays are punishment, but let me shatter that lie right now with scripture that will change how you see your entire week. In Genesis 22, God told Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. Abraham got up early, saddled his donkey, traveled 3 days to Mount Moriah. 3 days of walking toward what looked like tragedy. But right at the moment Abraham raised the knife, right at the point of no return, an angel interrupted him. "Abraham, Abraham, do not lay a hand on the boy." That interruption saved Isaac's life. That divine pause changed the course of human history. The delay wasn't denial, it was deliverance. You've been interpreting God's brakes as his rejection. But beloved, you don't slam on the brakes because you hate the driver. You slam on the brakes because you see danger ahead that they can't see yet. And right now, heaven is saying, I stopped you because I love you too much to let you crash. Think about this past week. That person who suddenly became distant, what if God saw their true intentions and removed them before they could wound you? That job opportunity that fell through at the last second, what if heaven knew that position would have destroyed your health, stolen your peace, placed you under a supervisor whose darkness would have extinguished your light? That relationship that ended abruptly, what if the Almighty was blocking a connection that looked like blessing but was actually bondage? Proverbs 16:9 says it plainly. In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Not suggests, not recommends, establishes. Sometimes God establishes your steps by making you trip, by making you fall, by making you stop dead in your tracks, because if you take one more step in that direction, you'll walk straight into destruction. But here's what breaks my heart. Here's what the enemy has been whispering to you all week long. He's been telling you that the interruption means you're cursed, that the delay means you're forgotten, that the sudden exhaustion means you're weak, that the cancelled plans mean God doesn't care about your desires. That is a lie from the pit of hell. You want to know what that exhaustion really was? That was angelic intervention. You wanted to go to that gathering, that meeting, that place, but something in your body just shut down. You couldn't explain it. You felt guilty about it. But what if I told you that angels were assigned to keep you home that day, because what was waiting for you at that location was a setup, a snare, a spiritual ambush designed to derail everything God has been building in you for the last 5 years? Somebody's name was removed from your contact list this week. Somebody who used to call you every day suddenly went silent, and you've been crying about it, praying about it, wondering what you did to offend them. But chosen one, what if heaven saw what you couldn't? What if God looked down the timeline and saw that 6 months from now, that person was going to betray you, expose you, use your secrets as weapons against you? What if the Father loved you enough to cut them off before they could cut you down? The interruption this week wasn't the enemy blocking your blessing. It was God's hand blocking what would have broken you. Right now, some of you are feeling something shift in your chest. You're remembering that strange moment when everything suddenly changed. That phone call that dropped 3 times. That text message you meant to send but forgot. That invitation you almost accepted but something told you to decline. You thought it was random. It wasn't. It was redirection. It was divine repositioning. It was heaven moving chess pieces on a board you can't see, protecting you from checkmate. Isaiah 55:8 declares, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord." When God interrupts your plans, it's not because he's cruel, it's because his intelligence is infinite and your vision is limited. He sees the car wreck 3 miles ahead. He sees the betrayal 6 months away. He sees the breakdown that connection would have caused in your spirit, and he loves you too much to let you go there. If something got cancelled this week, if someone got quiet, if plans fell through, if you felt stopped in your tracks for reasons you couldn't name, type in the comments right now, "I received the redirection." Say it out loud where you're sitting. Because what you're about to discover is that the interruption wasn't blocking your miracle, it was clearing the path for it. But here's the question that will determine everything. If God has been redirecting you all week, where exactly is He redirecting you to? Dear one, let me ask you something that might cut straight to your heart. Have you been crying more this week? Not the loud, dramatic kind of tears, but those silent ones that slip down your face when you're washing dishes, or sitting in your chair at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, or staring out the window watching leaves fall from that old oak tree in your backyard. You thought something was wrong with you, didn't you? You told yourself you're just getting emotional in your old age. Maybe it's the medications. Maybe it's loneliness finally catching up. Maybe you're losing your grip on the strength that carried you through 73 years of life. But what if I told you those tears aren't weakness? What if I told you they're washing? What if every unexplained emotion you've felt this week, that sudden heaviness that lifted for no reason, that peace that settled over you while you were folding laundry, that moment yesterday when you felt inexplicably hopeful, what if all of that is evidence? Evidence of what? Evidence that something in the invisible realm is moving on your behalf right now. You see, your spirit knows things your mind hasn't figured out yet. Your spirit can sense shifts in the atmosphere that your natural eyes can't see. And right now, this very moment, your spirit is picking up frequencies from heaven that are making your emotions go haywire. That's not confusion, beloved. That's confirmation. Listen to what the prophet Joel declared. I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your old men will dream dreams. Joel 2:28. Did you catch that? Your old men will dream dreams, not your young men only, not just the next generation. God specifically calls out the seasoned ones, the weathered ones, the ones who've walked through enough valleys to know the difference between wishful thinking and divine visitation. But here's what most preachers won't tell you about spiritual sensitivity. The closer you get to eternity, the thinner the veil becomes. The more years you carry, the more your spirit starts recognizing heaven's language. You're not losing your mind, you're gaining spiritual sight. You're not becoming overly emotional, you're becoming spiritually attuned. Think about Anna the prophetess, 84 years old, spending day and night in the temple. People probably thought she was just a sweet old lady who had nothing better to do. But when baby Jesus was brought through those temple doors, she was the first to recognize him. Luke 2:38 says she spoke about the child to all who were looking forward to the redemption of Jerusalem. Her age wasn't her limitation, it was her antenna. Her years weren't her weakness, they were her frequency. That's you right now. That's what's happening in your spirit. You've been feeling nostalgic this week, haven't you? Old memories surfacing without warning. Your mother's voice, your father's hands. That house you grew up in on Maple Street with the creaky porch swing. Moments from 1967 that feel more real today than they did yesterday. You think that's just your mind wandering, but what if God is rewinding the tape? What if He's showing you where He was faithful before so you'll trust Him for what's coming next? Psalm 77:11 says, I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your miracles of long ago. God doesn't bring up your past to torture you with what's gone. He brings it up to remind you of His pattern. He's saying, look what I did then. Now watch what I'm about to do now. But here's where it gets supernatural. Here's where the mystery deepens into miracle. God is wringing out the last drops of yesterday so you can hold tomorrow. Like a washcloth twisted tight until every bit of old water is squeezed out. He's been pressing on your emotions, wringing out old grief, extracting ancient disappointments, purging decades of maybe it wasn't meant to be, so your hands are empty enough and your heart is clean enough to receive what He's been preparing. That heaviness you felt Monday morning, that was the final weight of old disappointments being lifted. That sudden clarity you experienced Tuesday afternoon while sitting on your couch, that was the fog of confusion finally breaking. That unexplainable peace that washed over you Wednesday evening, that was heaven declaring, the warfare is over, the miracle is here. Your spirit knows the miracle before your mind sees it. That's why you've been restless. That's why you can't shake this feeling that something's different. That's why you found this message today on November 26, when millions of other videos were available to you. Your spirit recognized the frequency of what God is releasing, and it pulled you here like a magnet to metal. But let me tell you what the enemy doesn't want you to understand. He's been working overtime to convince you that these emotions mean you're falling apart. He wants you to think the tears are depression, the nostalgia is senility, the stirring is just indigestion from last night's dinner. Because if he can get you to dismiss what you're feeling, you'll miss what you're receiving. 1 Corinthians 2:14 warns us, "The person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God, but considers them foolishness." The natural mind will always try to explain away spiritual sensitivity, but you're not operating in the natural anymore, are you? You've crossed over into a realm where feelings become prophetic, where emotions become evidence, where tears become the language of transformation. If your emotions have been louder this week, if you've felt things you couldn't name, sensed things you couldn't see, known things you couldn't explain, comment right now. My spirit knows. Don't analyze it. Don't question it. Just declare it. Because when you acknowledge what your spirit is sensing, you activate what heaven is releasing. But recognition is only the first step. Because what your spirit knows right now is about to become what your eyes see tomorrow. And the sign that's been hidden, it's about to be revealed. You know what nobody tells you about divine intervention? It doesn't arrive with trumpets and angels descending from clouds split open by lightning. It doesn't announce itself with a voice that shakes the mountains or burns writing on your bedroom wall. No, beloved, when heaven decides to tap you on the shoulder, it whispers. And most people miss it entirely because they're waiting for the earthquake when God is speaking in the breeze. Let me ask you something that might cut deep. How many times has God tried to get your attention in the last month? How many moments did he orchestrate small, subtle, seemingly insignificant moments that you dismissed as random? How many divine breadcrumbs did you step over because you were looking for a banquet? Here's what's happening on November 26, and I need you to listen with more than your ears. I need you to listen with that ancient part of your spirit that remembers how to recognize his voice. Today, you're going to notice something. Something so perfectly timed that your logical mind will try to call it coincidence, but your spirit will know better. It might be a number that keeps showing up 111 on the microwave clock when you walk into the kitchen, 222 on a license plate at the red light, 444 when you glance at your phone for no reason. You'll see it once and think nothing of it, twice and you'll pause. But the third time, something in your chest will whisper, "He's speaking." Or maybe it'll be a dream, not the kind you forget by breakfast, but the kind that follows you into the daylight. The kind where someone you haven't thought about in years suddenly appears with a message. The kind where you wake up at exactly 3:33 a.m. with your heart pounding and a certainty you can't explain flooding your bones. You think dreams are just your subconscious sorting through the day's clutter. Tell that to Joseph, who interpreted Pharaoh's dreams and saved an entire nation from starvation. Tell that to Daniel, who saw visions that are still unfolding in our time. Genesis 37:5 says, Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. Why? Because they recognized something in that dream that terrified them. They saw destiny speaking. They saw heaven marking a chosen one. And it made them furious, because they knew some people carry messages from another realm, just like you do. But here's where it gets even more specific. Some of you right now are thinking about someone you haven't spoken to in months, maybe years. Their name just dropped into your mind out of nowhere. Your daughter who moved to California and calls once a month if you're lucky. Your old friend from church who drifted away after your husband died. That neighbor you used to pray with every Tuesday morning. And you're sitting there wondering, why am I thinking about them right now? Because heaven is arranging a divine appointment, beloved. Because God is about to use you to deliver a word, a prayer, a moment of hope to someone who's hanging by a thread. 1 Samuel 3:10 tells us that when God called young Samuel in the night, the Lord came and stood there, calling as at the other times, "Samuel, Samuel." Then Samuel said, "Speak, for your servant is listening." God didn't shout, He called. And He's calling you right now. He's dropping names into your spirit. He's arranging synchronicities. He's weaving together moments that look random but are actually surgical precision. Or maybe, and this one is going to shock some of you, maybe the sign will be peace. Sudden, unexplainable peace in the middle of chaos. You're worried sick about your grandson who's been using drugs. You're drowning in medical bills that make no mathematical sense. You're carrying grief so heavy that some mornings you don't know how you'll get out of bed. But today, for just a moment, something lifts, the weight eases, your breathing slows, and you feel wrapped in a calm that has no logical source. That's not denial, dear one. That's not you losing touch with reality. That's Philippians 4:7, manifesting in real time. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. When peace shows up in the middle of a storm that should be destroying you, that's a sign. That's God saying, "I'm here, I'm working, trust me." This sign does not scream, it whispers. It doesn't demand your attention, it invites it. And here's why that matters. God is testing something in you today. He's testing whether you've become so numb, so distracted, so convinced that miracles are for other people that you'll miss His fingerprints when they appear on your ordinary Tuesday. But you're not going to miss it, are you? Because something in you recognized this message before your mind could process it. Something in you clicked when you read those words about repeated numbers or unexpected peace. That's recognition, beloved. That's your spirit saying, "Yes, this is for me." So here's what I need you to do. Today, this very day, when that sign shows up, and it will show up, don't brush it off. Don't let your rational mind talk you out of what your spirit knows is true. Heaven is tapping your shoulder. The question is, will you turn around? If you're ready to pay attention, if you're ready to stop missing God's whispers, type this promise in the comments right now. I will not ignore it. Because what heaven is about to show you next will require eyes that are finally open to see it. You're not waiting for a miracle, chosen one. You're catching up to one that's already been released. Listen to what I'm about to tell you, because this will shatter everything you thought you knew about divine timing. Right now, this very second, while you're hearing my voice, there's a miracle that left heaven's throne room with your name written on it. Not yesterday, not last week. This thing has been traveling toward your timeline for months, maybe years, and November 26 is the day it breaks through the barrier between the invisible and the visible. You've been living like you're waiting for God to move. But what if God moved 3 years ago, and you're just now arriving at the coordinates where heaven and earth collide? Think about this. When a woman conceives a child, that baby exists for 9 months before anyone sees it. Life is happening in the hidden place. Cells are multiplying, organs are forming. A heartbeat starts at just 3 weeks. But the world doesn't know. The neighbors don't know. Even the mother might not know for a while. But make no mistake, life has already begun. That's where you are right now. The miracle isn't coming. The miracle is already growing in the womb of time, and you're about to give birth to something that's been forming in secret. But here's what's breaking my heart. Here's what I see when I look at the chosen ones who've made it to their 70s, their 80s, their golden years. You've been lied to. The world told you that your productive years are behind you, that your purpose expired when you retired, that God's great plans are for the young, the energetic, the ones who still have their whole lives ahead of them. And somewhere along the way, you believed it. You look at your grandchildren glued to their phones and think, the world has passed me by. You sit in your living room at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday and wonder if anyone would even notice if you were gone. You've watched younger people step into opportunities you once dreamed about, and you've made peace with the lie that your season is over. But heaven is screaming something different. Heaven is declaring that everything you've survived, every heartbreak, every disappointment, every door that slammed in your face, wasn't the end of your story. It was the preparation for your finest hour. Moses was 80 when God said, "Now you're ready to deliver a nation." Sarah was 90 when her womb came alive with promise. Caleb was 85 when he said, "Give me this mountain." And you sitting there thinking your best years are behind you, God is saying, "I saved the best wine for last." But here's the part that's going to blow your mind. This miracle that's entering your timeline, it's not just for you. You're not the destination, you're the delivery system. Let me say that again because most people miss this. The miracle is not coming to you, it's coming through you. You see, God doesn't waste preparation. He doesn't spend 70 years refining someone just so they can have a comfortable final chapter. No, beloved, He's been preparing you to be a conduit, a channel, a vessel through which heaven can pour breakthrough into your family, your neighborhood, your generation. That grandson who's addicted to pills, the miracle is coming through you to reach him. That daughter who walked away from faith, the miracle is coming through you to call her home. That neighbor who sits alone every evening, the miracle is coming through you to remind them they're not forgotten. This is why the enemy fought you so hard. This is why your life has been a battlefield. Because he saw what God was building in you, someone who could carry anointing without ego, power without pride, authority without arrogance. Someone who's been broken enough to be humble, but not so broken that they can't stand. You are the answer to prayers that haven't even been prayed yet. But I need you to understand something about divine timing that will change everything. In the spiritual realm, past, present, and future exist simultaneously. What you think is coming is actually already here, you just haven't intersected with it yet. It's like standing at a train station. The train left the station hours ago, but it hasn't reached your platform yet. That doesn't mean the train isn't real. It means you're about to hear the whistle. November 26 is your platform. This is the day your timeline and heaven's timeline overlap. This is the moment when what's been traveling toward you finally arrives. And I can prove it to you. You've already started seeing the signs, haven't you? Strange synchronicities, divine appointments that seem too perfectly timed to be coincidence, dreams that feel more real than your waking life, a restlessness in your spirit that won't let you settle. That's not anxiety, chosen one. That's anticipation. Your spirit recognizing what your mind hasn't caught up to yet. The miracle isn't in the future. The miracle is in your timeline right now. It's pressing against the membrane of this present moment, waiting for you to acknowledge it, receive it, speak it into manifestation. So right now, don't wait, don't hesitate. I need you to do something that might feel awkward, but is absolutely essential. Type these words in the comments. The miracle is in my timeline. Say it out loud if you're alone. Whisper it if someone's in the room. But release those words because faith gives substance to things hoped for and evidence to things not yet seen. You're not behind schedule. You're right on time. And what's about to manifest through your life is going to make everyone who counted you out ask the question, what happened to them? But the question that will determine everything is this. When the miracle breaks through into the visible realm, will you be positioned to receive it? But here's what's going to separate those who receive this miracle from those who watch it pass by like a ship in the night. Here's what will determine whether November 26 becomes the turning point in your story, or just another Tuesday you'll forget by December. You have to prepare the room. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. When you invite a guest into your home, you don't leave yesterday's dishes in the sink. You don't let clutter pile up on the couch. You don't ignore the dust gathering in the corners. No, you prepare, you clean, you create space worthy of who's coming. And right now, heaven is about to visit your life with a miracle so specific, so personal, so precisely timed to your need, that if you're not ready to receive it, it will slip right past you like wind through your fingers. The problem isn't that God doesn't want to bless you. The problem is that most people's spirits are so cluttered with bitterness, so crowded with yesterday's disappointments, so thick with the fog of unforgiveness, that when the miracle arrives, there's nowhere for it to land. Think about this. When the angel came to Mary in Luke 1:28, what did he say? "Greetings, you who are highly favored, the Lord is with you." But Mary's response wasn't immediate acceptance. She was greatly troubled and wondered what this greeting meant. The miracle was standing right in front of her, and she almost missed it because her mind was cluttered with confusion. How many of you have been so focused on what went wrong yesterday that you can't see what's trying to break through today? So let me give you 4 preparation steps. Not suggestions, not recommendations, requirements. If you want to position yourself to catch what heaven is releasing on November 26, you need to do these things before the sun sets tonight. First, clean the atmosphere through prayer. I'm not talking about your grandmother's bedtime prayer. I'm talking about warfare prayer. I'm talking about standing in your living room at 78 years old and declaring out loud, "Devil, you've had your season in my life, but this is my day. This is my moment, and you will not steal what God is about to release." Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers." Your battle isn't with your kids who stopped calling. Your battle isn't with the bank account that's shrinking. Your battle is in the spiritual realm, and prayer is the weapon that clears the air. Get on your knees if you can. Stand if you can't. Sit if you must. But open your mouth and command the atmosphere around your life to align with heaven's will. The miracle is coming, but it needs clean air to breathe. Second, protect your spirit from negativity. Who have you been listening to? What have you been watching? Because I'm telling you right now, if you spend 3 hours a day soaking in cable news telling you the world is ending, if you're surrounding yourself with friends who do nothing but complain about their aches and pains, if you're scrolling through social media, seeing everyone else's highlight reel, while you sit in your low-light reality, you are poisoning the very soil where your miracle is trying to take root. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Guard it. Protect it. Stop letting toxic voices rent space in your mind. This might mean turning off the TV. This might mean limiting phone calls with that relative who drains you every single time. This might mean unfollowing accounts that make you feel less than. Your miracle is too valuable to let negativity sabotage it. Third, speak life, not fear. Your words are not just sounds vibrating in the air. They are creative forces. They are spiritual seeds. And right now, what are you planting? Are you declaring, "I'm too old for God to use me"? Are you saying, "Nothing good ever happens to people like me"? Are you prophesying your own defeat with every sentence that leaves your lips? Proverbs 18:21 is crystal clear. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. You've been speaking death over yourself for too long. Today, that changes. I want you to stand in front of your mirror tonight and say out loud, "God is not done with me. My age is evidence of my endurance. I have survived every storm, and I will not miss this miracle." November 26 is my day of alignment, and I receive what heaven is releasing. Say it until you believe it. Say it until it becomes the rhythm of your heartbeat. Fourth, be still enough to notice the sign. In a world that moves at lightning speed, stillness feels like weakness. But 1 Kings 19:12 tells us that God wasn't in the earthquake or the fire. He was in a still, small voice. If you're running from distraction to distraction, how will you hear him? The sign coming on November 26 will be subtle. It might be a phone call from someone you haven't heard from in years. It might be an unexpected check in the mail. It might be a dream so vivid you wake up with tears on your pillow. It might be peace that floods your chest for no logical reason. But you have to be still enough to notice it. God didn't keep you alive this long for nothing. Every morning you wake up is proof that your assignment isn't finished. Your age isn't a limitation. It's evidence that your endurance qualifies you for what's coming next. If you take these 4 steps today, You will feel the shift before midnight. The atmosphere around your life will change, the heaviness will lift, and you'll know deep in your bones that something sacred is happening. So type it right now in the comments. I'm preparing my spirit. Let heaven see your commitment. Let the angels take note. Let your own faith hear what your mouth is declaring, because the miracle is already in motion. The only question left is, will your spirit be ready when it arrives? Chosen one, just when you think the sign has settled. Just when you believe heaven has spoken its final word over your life today. I need you to understand something that's going to shake you to your core. The whisper isn't finished. You see, there's something the enemy doesn't want you to know about divine communication. God doesn't speak once and disappear into silence. No, beloved, when the Almighty has marked you for breakthrough, when He's positioned you at the edge of miraculous intervention, He speaks in echoes. He speaks in layers. He speaks in waves that return to confirm what your spirit heard the first time. This is November 26. And what began as a subtle stirring in your chest this morning is about to circle back tonight with such clarity that you won't be able to dismiss it as coincidence anymore. Listen to me carefully. How many times in your life have you felt something, a knowing, a nudge, a whisper in your spirit, and you pushed it aside? You told yourself you were imagining things. You convinced yourself that God doesn't speak to ordinary people like you. You dismissed the very sign heaven sent because it came wrapped in subtlety instead of thunder. But here's what breaks my heart. That dismissal cost you years. That doubt delayed your deliverance. That rationalization kept you circling the same mountain when breakthrough was standing 3 feet in front of you, waiting for recognition. Not this time. Not today. Not on November 26, because God is about to do something so strategic, so intentional, that even the most skeptical part of your mind won't be able to explain it away. Tonight, yes, tonight before you lay your head on that pillow, something is going to echo back to you. A sentence someone spoke 3 days ago that suddenly carries weight. A memory from 1987 that flashes across your mind with prophetic precision. A name you haven't thought about in decades that drops into your consciousness like a stone into still water. Do not dismiss it. Do not rationalize it. Do not let the enemy convince you that it's just your mind playing tricks. The Bible tells us in 1 Kings 19 that when Elijah stood on the mountain waiting to hear from God, there was wind, earthquake, and fire. Powerful manifestations, dramatic displays. But God wasn't in any of those. Verse 12 says, "And after the earthquake a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire a still small voice." A still small voice. A whisper. The kind that comes so softly you have to lean in to hear it. The kind that returns to those who are paying attention. You know what that whisper is, don't you? It's the voice that's been following you for 73 years. The voice that spoke to you when you were 8 years old, sitting in your grandmother's kitchen, and you just knew that you were made for something more. The voice that called to you at 27 when everyone said you were crazy for believing God still had plans for your life. The voice that sustained you at 59 when you buried your spouse and wondered if hope died with them. That voice never left. It's been circling, waiting for the moment when you'd finally be desperate enough, broken enough, humble enough to stop talking and start listening. Here's what the comfortable will never understand about you. You've lived long enough to recognize patterns. You've survived enough to trust your intuition. You've walked through enough valleys to know the difference between your thoughts and God's whisper. While younger generations are distracted by noise, you've been trained in the school of silence. You know how to hear what others miss. And tonight, that training is about to pay dividends. Think about Samuel as a boy in 1 Samuel chapter 3. God called his name 3 times before he recognized the voice. 3 times. But once he understood who was speaking, once he learned to respond, "Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth," everything changed. That boy became the prophet who anointed kings. You've heard the first whisper today. You felt it when this message found you. But the second whisper, the one that circles back, that's the confirmation. That's heaven knocking twice to make sure you answer the door. In the Jewish tradition, they have a concept called bat kol, the daughter of the voice. It's the echo of God's word that returns to those who are spiritually attuned. Rabbis taught that when God speaks, his words don't just disappear into the atmosphere. They reverberate. They return. They seek out those who have ears to hear. Beloved, your spiritual ears have been opened by decades of prayer, suffering, and faithfulness. You're not like those who hear and forget. You're one of the rare ones who hears and remembers, who senses and responds, who catches what others let slip through their fingers. A whisper that circles back is heaven knocking twice. And when God knocks twice, it's not suggestion, it's summons. It's not possibility, it's promise. It's not maybe, it's mandate. So here's what I need you to do. Tonight, before sleep comes, sit in the quiet. Turn off the television. Put down the phone. Let silence settle around you like a blanket. And when that thought returns, when that memory surfaces, when that name drops into your spirit, when that knowing floods your chest, receive it. Write it down. Honor it. Because God is speaking in stereo, and you're about to hear in both ears what he's been trying to tell you for years. If something already returned to your spirit today, if you felt a second wave of confirmation, a circling back of divine communication, type in the comments right now, the whisper came back. Because what returns tomorrow will require you to recognize what's returning tonight. Let me ask you something that's going to cut straight to the bone. Why has this year felt like hell unleashed? Why, after decades of faithfulness, after tithing when you couldn't afford groceries, after praying until your knees went numb, why does it feel like the ground beneath you is shaking harder than it ever has? You lost $30,000 in that investment your son-in-law promised was safe. Your daughter hasn't called in 8 months, and you don't even know why. That pain in your chest that keeps you up at night, the doctors can't find anything wrong, but you know something's attacking you. You sit in that house where you raised 4 children, and now the silence is so loud it screams. And here's the part that breaks your heart the most. You're 82 years old, and you're wondering if God forgot to write the happy ending to your story. But what if I told you something that's going to flip everything you think you understand about spiritual warfare? What if the reason this year has been so brutal isn't because God abandoned you, it's because hell sees what heaven's about to release, and the enemy is making his final desperate move to break you before the breakthrough manifests? Listen to me carefully. Chosen one. Storms don't form over empty ground. They form over fertile soil. They rage over places about to birth something magnificent. And the intensity of the attack you're facing right now is directly proportional to the magnitude of the miracle that's inches from breaking through into your reality. Look at what Scripture tells us in Job chapter 1, verse 8. God himself pointed Job out to Satan and said, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." And what happened next? Everything was stripped away. His wealth, his children, his health. Even his wife told him to curse God and die. But here's what most preachers won't tell you about that story. The attack wasn't random, it was strategic. Satan didn't waste his ammunition on nobodies. He mobilized every weapon in his arsenal against Job because he knew that if Job stayed faithful, something would be released through him that would testify to God's goodness for thousands of years. You've been living Job's story, haven't you? And you thought it meant you did something wrong. You thought it meant God was punishing you. But what if the opposite is true? What if you've been under such intense fire because you're carrying something so precious, so powerful, so threatening to the kingdom of darkness that hell had to mobilize against you? Think about this. When Pharaoh heard that the deliverer of Israel had been born, what did he do? He ordered every Hebrew baby boy killed. Matthew chapter 2, verse 16. Why? Because the enemy always attacks the promise before it manifests. He tries to kill the miracle in the womb. Your financial crisis isn't random. Your health battle isn't coincidence. That relationship that fell apart right when you needed it most, that wasn't bad luck. It was calculated warfare designed to make you give up 3 feet from gold. I'm talking to the grandmother whose own children treat her like a burden. I see you. I'm speaking to the widower who buried his wife of 53 years and now wakes up every morning wondering what the point is. I'm addressing the man who worked 47 years at that factory, gave them his back, his knees, his prime, and they let him go 6 months before full retirement benefits kicked in. You didn't deserve that. But here's what the enemy didn't count on. You're still here. You're still breathing. You're still believing. And that terrifies him more than you know. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 17 says, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." But let me tell you something about that word momentary in the original Greek. It doesn't mean brief. It means producing weight. Your troubles aren't light, they're heavy. But they're producing something weightier. They're building glory you can't see yet. The enemy shakes the ground right before heaven plants the seed. He sends the fiercest winds right before the harvest. He attacks your mind the hardest right before your miracle manifests. Because he knows if you hold on just a little bit longer, everything shifts. You know what separates those who receive their breakthrough from those who give up? It's not strength. It's not perfection. It's simply this: they refuse to let the intensity of the battle convince them that God had changed his mind. Your warfare isn't proof that you're cursed. Your warfare is proof that you're carrying something holy. The fact that you've been hit this hard means you're dangerous to darkness. And November 26 marks the moment when what hell tried to prevent finally breaks through the surface. If you felt the heat increase this month, if the attacks have gotten more vicious, more personal, more relentless, type in the comments right now, "The fire will not break me." That's not just a comment. That's your declaration of war against every force that thought this year would finish you. Because what's coming next isn't just survival, beloved. What's coming is the manifestation of everything you've been fighting for. But first, you need to understand the sign heaven's been trying to show you, the one hiding in plain sight on November 26. You know what nobody tells you about miracles? They don't just appear out of nowhere like lightning splitting a clear sky. No, beloved. Miracles cast shadows before they arrive. And if you've been paying attention, if your spirit has been awake these last 48 hours, you've already seen the shadow. Let me ask you something that might shake you. Have you noticed how a memory from 30 years ago suddenly surfaced yesterday? Out of nowhere, you're thinking about that moment when your mother prayed over you in the kitchen, or that conversation with your father before he passed, or that dream you had as a young woman that you buried under decades of responsibility. Why now? Why, after all these years of silence, is your past knocking on the door of your present? That wasn't nostalgia, dear one. That was foreshadowing. You see, God doesn't work in straight lines. He works in spirals. He works in echoes. He works in whispers that arrive before the shout. And right now, if you're honest with yourself, you've been feeling something you can't quite name. A stirring, a knowing. A sense that the air around you has changed texture, like walking through Manhattan at 5 a.m. when the fog is so thick you can taste it on your tongue. That thickness, that's the miracle making its approach. Think about it. In the days before Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, what happened first? Mary and Martha sent word that their brother was sick. They waited. They watched. They felt the weight of delay pressing down on their chests. And I imagine, I can picture it so clearly, there must have been moments when Mary paused while grinding grain, feeling something shift in the atmosphere. Moments when Martha stopped mid-step, her heart suddenly lighter for no logical reason. The miracle hadn't arrived yet, but its shadow had already fallen across their doorway. John 11:4 records Jesus saying, "This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory." But notice he said that before the resurrection, the shadow of the miracle was already visible to those with eyes to see. Now let me get personal with you. Some of you woke up this morning with an unexplainable peace. For years, maybe decades, you've carried anxiety like a second skin. The worry about your health, your children who don't call, your bank account that never quite stretches far enough. But this morning, something was different. The weight lifted, not because your circumstances changed, but because something in the spiritual atmosphere shifted. You thought you were just having a good day. But what if that peace was evidence? What if that sudden lightness wasn't random? It was the miracle leaving fingerprints on your soul before it fully manifests. Others of you had a dream last night. Not just any dream, but the dream. The one you used to have when you were younger, when you still believed God had big plans for your life. Maybe you were teaching. Maybe you were traveling. Maybe you were standing in front of people speaking words that changed their lives. You haven't had that dream in 20 years, and suddenly, last night, there it was again, vivid, real, pulsing with life. Why would God resurrect a dead dream unless he was about to resurrect the promise attached to it? Breakthrough has a scent before it has a face. It has a sound before it has a form. Joel 2:28 promises. Your old men will dream dreams. Your old women will see visions. Not might dream, not could dream, will dream. Present tense, active, alive. And if you're dreaming again after years of spiritual silence, that's not your subconscious playing tricks. That's heaven downloading instructions for what's coming next. But here's where it gets mystical, where it gets beautiful, where it gets undeniable. Some of you had a stranger say something to you in the last 72 hours that felt like a message straight from God's mouth. Maybe it was the cashier at the grocery store who looked at you and said, "You have kind eyes." Maybe it was the nurse at your doctor's appointment who touched your hand and said, "You're stronger than you know." Maybe it was a neighbor you barely speak to who suddenly stopped you and said, "I've been thinking about you." You dismissed it as small talk. But what if those weren't accidents? What if God was using ordinary people to deliver extraordinary confirmation? What if he was saying, "I see you, I know you, I'm moving on your behalf right now"? Even your body has been trying to tell you something. That tightness in your chest that finally released, that chronic pain that mysteriously eased up yesterday, that heaviness in your limbs that suddenly felt lighter when you woke up this morning. Your physical frame is responding to spiritual shifts happening in realms you can't see with natural eyes. If something felt off today, if your normal Tuesday didn't feel normal at all, if you kept pausing in the middle of ordinary tasks because you sensed something hovering just beyond your comprehension that wasn't confusion, beloved, that was the miracle leaving fingerprints all over your life before it steps fully into view. The shadow is here. You've been walking in it without realizing what it meant. But now you know, now you recognize. The evidence has been appearing all around you, and what's coming next will make every shadow make sense. Comment, right now, I see the shadow. Not tomorrow, not later. Right now. Because recognizing the shadow is the first step to receiving the miracle. But here's what you need to understand about these shadows, about these signs, about this evidence that's been accumulating around your life. They're not just confirmation that something's coming. They're instructions for what you need to do next. You know what breaks my heart? It's not the wrinkles on your face or the gray in your hair. It's the look in your eyes when you whisper words you think nobody hears. I think my time has passed. Let me ask you something that's going to cut deep. When was the last time you felt necessary, not tolerated, not humored, not patted on the head like a relic from a bygone era? When was the last time you felt like your life still mattered? When was the last time someone looked at you and saw potential instead of a past? Be honest with yourself right now. How many times have you caught yourself thinking, "If only I had more time"? How many dreams have you buried alive under the weight of the calendar? How many mornings have you woken up feeling like you're just marking days until the final curtain falls? But what if I told you something that will shatter every lie you've been believing about your age, your relevance, your purpose? What if the very thing the world calls your ending is actually heaven's beginning? Some of you think your story is ending. Heaven says you haven't even hit your assignment yet. Listen to me carefully, beloved. The enemy has been whispering a demonic doctrine in your ear for years. He's convinced you that 70 is over the hill, that 80 is borrowed time, that once your children are grown and your career is over, you're just taking up space, waiting for glory. But that is a lie straight from the pit of hell. Let me show you something that will rock your world. Moses was 80 years old, 80, when God called him from that burning bush. For 40 years, he'd been tending sheep in the wilderness, probably thinking his best days were ancient history, probably looking at his weathered hands and thinking, I had my chance and I blew it. But God looked at those same 80 years and said, now you're ready. Now you have what it takes to deliver a nation. Think about that. Moses didn't even start his real assignment until social security age. And what about Anna the prophetess? Luke 2:36-37 tells us she was 84 years old, spending day and night in the temple. 84. The world would have called her a sweet old lady who'd outlived her usefulness. But when baby Jesus was brought to the temple, she was the first to recognize the Messiah and proclaim redemption to all who were looking for it. Her greatest moment came after 8 decades of preparation. Caleb was 85 when he looked at that mountain and declared, give me this mountain. Not give me a rocking chair, not give me a quiet retirement. He wanted the giants. He wanted the battle. He wanted the impossible. And Joshua 14:11 records his words, I am still as strong today as the day Moses sent me out. I'm just as vigorous to go out to battle now as I was then. And Abraham, dear God, Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac was born. 100. His body was as good as dead. Sarah's womb was barren. But Romans 4:22-1 says he did not waver through unbelief regarding the promise of God, but was strengthened in his faith, being fully persuaded that God had power to do what he had promised. Do you see the pattern? Do you see what heaven is screaming at you right now? Your age is not your disqualification. Your years are not your limitation. What the world calls your sunset, God calls your setup. You are not a closing book. You are a chapter God has been saving for last, because the last chapter carries the twist. Think about every great story you've ever read. The final chapters aren't about winding down. They're about revelation. They're about everything coming together. They're about the hero discovering what they were fighting for all along. That's you, chosen one. You're not in the epilogue, you're in the climax. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to understand. Every year you've lived, every tear you've cried, every disappointment you've survived, every mountain you've climbed, it wasn't wasted time. It was preparation. It was training. It was God building something in you that could only be forged through decades of walking with Him. Your grandchildren don't just need your money, they need your wisdom. This nation doesn't just need your vote, it needs your prayers. This generation doesn't just need your stories, it needs your example of what it looks like to trust God when everything else fails. The wisdom in your heart didn't come from books, it came from battles. The peace in your spirit wasn't downloaded from a sermon, it was earned in the furnace of real life. The faith you carry wasn't inherited, it was tested and proven over 70, 80, 90 years of watching God show up when everyone else walked away. And now, right now, on November 26, something is shifting. Can you feel it? That stirring in your chest isn't nostalgia. That restlessness in your spirit isn't dementia. That fire that won't go out isn't your imagination. It's confirmation that your assignment is activating. Watch how your purpose awakens after November 26, because God is about to do something so unexpected, so supernatural, so perfectly timed that when people see it, they'll know it could only be Him. He's about to take everything the world called finished and make it fruitful. Everything they called dead and bring it back to life. Everything they dismissed as irrelevant and use it to shake kingdoms. Your story is not done. Your chapter is not closed. Your purpose has not expired. And if you can receive this word, if you can let it sink past your doubt and lodge itself in your spirit, everything is about to change. Type it right now. My story is not done. Say it until your soul believes it. Declare it until hell backs off and heaven responds. Because what God is about to release through seasoned saints will make the world remember that the best wine truly is saved for last. But to receive what's coming, you first need to understand what November 26 is really marking. You know what's been suffocating you? It's not age. It's not loneliness. It's not even the silence that fills your house after everyone's gone. It's the fog. That thick, grey, spiritual fog that's been sitting on your chest for months, maybe years, making everything feel distant, muted, uncertain. You wake up and you can't remember why you used to feel so alive. You pray and the words feel like they're bouncing off the ceiling. You look at old photographs and wonder where that person went. The one who used to believe with fire, who used to know with certainty, who used to feel God's presence like electricity in their bones. But listen to me, chosen one. On November 26, something is shifting in the atmosphere over your life. And what's coming isn't a gentle breeze. It's 3 waves of clarity so powerful they're going to shatter the confusion that's been holding you hostage. The prophet Joel declared in Joel 2:28, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your old men will dream dreams, not remembered dreams, not past dreams, will dream, present tense, active, alive. God is about to restore the clarity you thought died with your youth. But here's what you need to understand. This clarity won't hit you all at once. It's coming in 3 distinct waves, and each one is going to break over your soul like the Atlantic crashing against the rocks at Montauk. Powerful, relentless, transformative. Wave 1 is emotional clarity, and it's going to hit you first. You're going to wake up one morning this week, could be tomorrow, could be Thursday, and something will feel different, not necessarily better, just different. That heaviness you've been dragging around like a 200-pound weight, it's going to lift. Not completely, not all at once, but you're going to take a breath and realize it's the first real breath you've taken in months. Suddenly, emotions you've been stuffing down for years are going to surface. You might cry at the kitchen table over your morning coffee and not even know why. You might feel anger rising up about things you thought you'd forgiven. You might experience joy that feels completely disconnected from your circumstances. Don't fight it. This is the first wave washing over you, clearing out the debris. See, God is doing what Ezekiel 36:26 promised. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. That numbness you've been living with, that's the heart of stone, and it's about to crack wide open. Then comes wave 2, relational clarity. And this one's going to shock you. You're going to see people differently. That daughter who hasn't called in 3 months, you're going to understand why. Not excuse it. Understand it. That friend who drifted away, you're going to suddenly know whether to pursue them or release them. That person who hurt you 20 years ago, you're going to receive supernatural wisdom about whether reconciliation is God's will or if closure is the gift. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. You're also going to see yourself differently in those relationships. Wave 2 doesn't just bring clarity about others, it brings clarity about your role in the distance, the dysfunction, the disconnect. And some of you are going to have to face the truth that you've been holding on to bitterness like it's your birthright. This wave is going to feel like surgery without anesthesia. But Proverbs 27:6 tells us, faithful are the wounds of a friend. Sometimes God has to wound us to heal us. Sometimes he has to expose the infection before he can cure it. You're going to receive knowing. Sudden, undeniable knowing about who belongs in your next chapter and who was only meant for your last one. And beloved, you're going to have to be brave enough to act on that knowing even when it hurts. Then comes the third wave, purpose clarity. And this is the one that changes everything. See, the first wave cleared your emotions. The second wave cleared your relationships. But the third wave? The third wave reveals why you're still here. Why you survived the heart attack at 67. Why you made it through the depression that almost took you out. Why you're still breathing when others your age are already gone. You're going to wake up knowing, not hoping, not wishing, but knowing what God has been preparing you for. It might not be what you expected. It might not look like a stage or a platform or recognition. It might look like one grandchild who needs exactly what only you can give. It might look like a neighbor who's drowning and you're the only one with a life preserver. It might look like a ministry so small the world would call it insignificant, but heaven calls it essential. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says God has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. That restlessness you feel, that's eternity, pushing against the walls of your temporary existence. And Wave 3 is going to show you exactly how to align your remaining days with your eternal purpose. Here's what all three waves have in common. They bring lightness where there was heaviness, certainty where there was confusion, and a strange but undeniable sense that something is shifting. You won't be able to explain it to people who aren't experiencing it. They'll look at you like you've lost your mind. But you'll know, deep in your bones, you'll know that God is moving. Clarity won't come suddenly, beloved. It will come rhythmically, each wave preparing your spirit for the miracle that's about to break through. If this is resonating in your chest right now, if you can already feel the first ripples of that wave approaching, write in the comments, "Bring the waves." Because what's coming next will require you to see clearly. And chosen one, the fog is finally lifting. Beloved chosen one, as we reach the end of this sacred moment together, I need you to hold on to three eternal truths that will anchor your soul in the days ahead. First, November 26 is not just another date on your calendar, it's a divine marker. The fog is lifting. The three waves of clarity are coming. God has positioned you at this exact moment in history for reasons you're just beginning to understand. Second, that stirring in your chest right now, that's not wishful thinking. That's the Holy Spirit confirming what heaven has already decreed over your life. You are not too old, not too forgotten, not too broken to be used mightily by God. Your greatest chapter is still being written. Third, the sign you've been waiting for isn't coming tomorrow or next week. It's already here. You're living in it right now. The question is whether you'll have eyes to see it. But hear me clearly, you are not walking this path alone. The same God who parted the Red Sea, who made the sun stand still, who raised Jesus from the dead, is actively working in your life right now, even when you can't see it, even when you can't feel it. He is moving on your behalf. And beyond God's presence, you have this community right here. Thousands of brothers and sisters who understand your struggles, who believe in your calling, who are ready to stand with you in prayer. You are not isolated. You are not forgotten. You are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses who are cheering you on. So let me ask you this. Now that you know the fog is lifting, now that you understand the waves are coming, now that you've been marked by heaven for this moment, what will you do with this revelation? I want to hear from you in the comments below. Tell us what God spoke to your heart today. Share what wave you're sensing first. Ask for prayer if you need it. This community will surround you. And if this message touched your soul, please share it with someone who needs to know they're not alone in their struggle. Before you go, let me pray over you with the authority of someone who has walked with God through every valley and mountaintop. Heavenly Father, I place my hand on the shoulder of every precious soul hearing these words. Lord, you see them, you know their names. You've counted every tear, recorded every prayer, witnessed every moment they've felt forgotten. Tonight, I ask you to breathe fresh life into their weary spirits. Where there's been fog, bring clarity. Where there's been confusion, bring certainty. Where there's been loneliness, bring your overwhelming presence. Father, send the three waves over their lives with power. Clear their emotions, restore their relationships, reveal their purpose. Open doors that no man can shut. Provide resources they haven't even thought to ask for. Surround them with people who will recognize their value and honor their calling. And most of all, let them feel your love, right now wrapping around them like a blanket, reminding them they are yours and you are theirs. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell, because your awakening isn't finished, and neither is God's work in your life. Until we meet again, walk in clarity, rest in His presence, and remember, you are chosen, you are loved, and the best is yet to come.